We have to convince Judge Fitzwater that you are no longer a threat to yourself or to anyone else, and that is why it is imperative that you remain as calm as possible. The slightest hint that an alter is even trying to come out will skew up this whole case.
Yeah, and I get locked up in a psychiatric ward for God knows how long, right?
I want you to be sure. If you have the slightest doubt about your ability to hold it together, the best thing we could do is ask for a postponement. Are you absolutely sure that you want to go ahead with this?
I'm sure.
Okay.
All rise. The people and attorney for the defendant have agreed on a plea. Would you like us in chambers?
We'll proceed here.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth has nothing but sympathy for the defendant's long-term abuse by her father, as documented in your case material. We accept that the defendant suffers from dissociative identity disorder, and it was an alternate personality who murdered Victor Lord 20 years ago. And we believe that the defendant herself was unaware of her own role in her father's death until very recently. So, with these facts in mind, Your Honor, we have agreed with defense counsel to a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity.
Your client is in agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
I want to make certain that the defendant is fully aware of the consequences of her decision. Mrs. Carpenter, do you understand that by accepting this plea, you could be sent to a state mental facility for an indeterminate amount of time?
Yes, Your Honor, I understand that.
Thank you. Okay, the verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity is duly recorded. Now, is the Commonwealth ready to agree to the release of the defendant?
No, Your Honor. The Commonwealth is not so prepared. Your Honor, as District Attorney, my first responsibility is to the people of Lantano County. I know you are familiar with the file on this case, so I won't take the court's time in detailing the various illegal actions in which Mrs. Carpenter's various alternates engaged in the past year or so. However, I will remind the court that they include arson, attempted arson, kidnapping, and unlawful imprisonment.
The threat to ordinary citizens by these alternate personalities is of profound concern.
Your Honor, if the court wishes, I am prepared to call experts who will testify that disorders of this nature require long-term therapy, and they will also testify that true cures are elusive. It is therefore, Your Honor, that I, with the utmost reluctance and sorrow, I urge that the court remand the defendant, Victoria Lord Carpenter, to an institution where she may receive the treatment she needs for as long as required.
Mrs. Buchanan.
Thank you. Your Honor, I do not dispute the district attorney's facts. I do, however, dispute his conclusion. And I am prepared to show that Mrs. Carpenter is not a threat to anyone and does not require hospitalization.
Go on, please.
Thank you. The defense calls Dr. Susanna Hannon to the stand.
Almost without exception, the ID can be traced to repeated abuse of the patient as a child. This abuse is virtually always at the hands of a so-called trusted adult. Now, from the child's point of view, this betrayal is so traumatic. It is irreconcilable with reality if the child has learned it. Therefore, the child's unconscious creates another personality to deal with the abuse, while the child herself experiences a temporary time loss and remembers nothing.
Why does a child create more than one alter?
Multiples are a sort of superstructure that hold the separate experiences and realities in a framework. By compartmentalizing, by having different alters deal with different circumstances, The altars keep the fragile child from being exposed to the truth. One altar deals with shame, one with anger, one with fear. In Vicky's circumstances, her altar from the devastating truth that her father sexually abused her repeatedly and systematically over a period of many years.
So is the ultimate goal to integrate these alters into one, let's say, blended personality?
Well, the clinical approach used to be to get rid of the personalities, but that's no longer the case. It's important to understand that these alters remain a part of Vicky. Now, while before, when the alters emerged, they were in total control, and she wasn't even aware of their existence. But now, Vicky is in control and communicates with them freely.
How is that, Doctor? Excuse me.
Well, she hears their voices clearly, as inner voices of her own, just as you and I do. But the need to compartmentalize is gone. The alters no longer need to protect her because the secrets are out. And Vicky understands that this elaborate form of protection is no longer necessary. Vicky is strong enough now to handle problems on her own.
So why don't the alters disappear then?
Well, it's true they're no longer necessary, but they are a part of Vicky. They're a controlled part, much as we all control parts of ourselves. Oh, a short temper, a violent fear of snakes, a craving for chocolate.
Should Vicky remain in therapy?
Yes. The therapy must be ongoing and will take time, as Mr. Gannon said. But she has made remarkable progress already.
Then in your professional opinion, should Vicky be confined while she remains in therapy?
No. I see no reason for Vicky Carpenter to be confined.
So you don't think that Vicky poses a potential threat to herself?
I'm certain she doesn't.
To others?
I'm certain she doesn't.
Thank you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Gannon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Hannon, can you, as a professional psychiatrist specializing in the treatment of patients with DID, can you guarantee that Mrs. Carpenter is no longer a threat to herself or anyone else?
I've said it's my professional
Dr.
opinion.
Hannon, can you guarantee it?
No, I cannot.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Dr. Hannon. You may step down.
You ready? Mm-hmm. Your Honor, the defense calls Victoria Lord Carpenter.
Victoria Lord Carpenter.
Place your hand on the Bible and repeat after me. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.